Okay, I'm gonna do the walkthrough of my process here. Okay, here's the entire plant layout here. We have 4 lines right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, which are going to do sand casting and then machining directly after. Okay, so this first line right here is for the body. The second line right here is for the bonnet. This third line here is for the hand wheel. And this fourth line here is going to do the wedge and the gland flange because they're 2 small components. Okay, so what happens is our sand reservoir is here. And this first machine will take sand and pack it into the mold. Okay, so this will make the top half of the mold. This second station right here will make the bottom half of the mold. There's a small gantry that's gonna pick up this top half and flip it over and set it onto the bottom half, okay? So then the completed mold will be out here. This green portion right here is a gantry that's gonna pick up the mold and move it to the conveyor here. This automated conveyor is gonna pull all of these molds into the sand casting machine where molten metal will be poured into each of these molds. There'll be a laser switch in the station to show that, you know, once the molten metal comes to the top, it stops pouring into it, okay? So then after that, the conveyor brings it out here and lots of these can pile up here and cool off. So these will need, you know, a while to cool off. After that, there'll be an operator right here, which will pull the metal out of the mold, you know, break apart the sand mold. And he'll also have a cutoff wheel so he can cut off any gates or risers or doing any trim work real quick that he needs to do. And then he's going to dump the sand into this reservoir. You know, once this gets full, it's going to be moved back here to be reused. And then the sand, you know, will have to be replaced at one point in time once it gets degraded. So after he's done doing this, he's going to put it onto a pallet here that's going to go into the CNC machine. Okay? So after the CNC, the part's going to come out here. This operator here is going to pick up the part off the CNC machine and put it into this load station. So he's going to load the body onto the pallet so that, you know, in the set location. This is all going to have an RFID tag here, which is going to, he's going to scan the 2D part and then place it on the pallet. So now this station here is going to know which body serial number is on the pallet. And then it's going to move on here. The bonnet's going to be put on this pallet now, and then it's going to move. And then the hand wheel will be put on, and then it's going to move, and then the wedge and gland flange. So now we have 4 components on this pallet, along with all the other kitting. All the other parts were put on this kitting station right here and moved over here. So now, after this point, the pallets are completely full with everything needed to assemble. They're going to come down this way. There's a large buffer here so that, you know, operators over here can get a big amount of pallets in queue so that these stations are never waiting for anything. Okay. After it comes around here, we'll have our very first operator. Also, each one of these stations will have its own RFID reading system, just so you can track where the parts went through the system, okay? It's also gonna, you know, take into effect like the operator, which operator is doing the stations and all that information. All this data is gonna be captured in some sort of system, PLC system here that communicates with the entire line. Okay, so we're gonna go around here and now we're at station 1. Station 1, I'm looking over here. These are all the stations 1 through 11 here. Okay, so station 1 is going to seat both of the seat rings into place, and then use an expanding tool to set them into place. Okay, and then the part will go over here. Here, they're going to take the bonnet and press in the gland into the top of the bonnet using the press. Okay, so this station here has a press. Then it's going to move over to number 3. They're going to rotate the bonnet upside down and slide in the packing rings, 2 packing rings, then a packing member, then 2 more packing rings, okay? So then he's done. Now it's going to move over here to station number 4, okay? So now on station number 4, they're going to thread the stem backseat into the bonnet and torque it down to specification. Any station here that needs any torque specifications we'll have, you know, like an air gun that's set to the right torque, you know, something that's able to set a pretty consistent torque rating. Okay. Okay, excuse me. So after number 4, we're moving over to number 5. Here, they're going to slide the yoke sleeve into the bonnet, then tighten the yoke sleeve jam nut until it's tight to specification. We'll move over here to number 6. Number 6, they're going to slide the stem into the wedge and then slide them into the bonnet through the gland flange. Okay. And then they're going to lightly put the bolts through and lightly, loosely hand tighten them just so it's all held together. Okay. Then I'll move over here to number 7. Here, they're going to basically torque down all 4 of those bolts. They're also going to make sure that the bonnet and the body are properly aligned using a fixture at the station there. Then boom, it's going to come down here to number 8. Here, they're going to slide both of the eye bolts into the gland flange and loosely put the hex nuts in to hold them in place. And then they're going to put a bolt and nut in each eye to hold them onto the bonnet. Okay, then they're going to go over here to number 9. Number 9, they're going to put on the hand wheel on the stem and tighten the hand wheel nut down to specification. After that, it goes to station number 10. Here, he's going to put on both grease fittings and torque them to specification. After that, we go over here to number 11. Number 11 is our final pack out station, okay? So here, if we want, we have all this information referenced to a serial number on this pallet, all this assembly info, everything that we have for the entire process, okay? So he can put that on a box and print a label if it's needed. I don't think you need a specific serial number on each label, but you know, you can do whatever you want here. This is very customizable. Okay, so here's our pack out area. We have another operator in here who's basically going to be pulling pallets over here and helping this operator put everything into boxes and crate it out, and then it's going to be left in this area. There's also another operator here in the kitting station. He's going to have all these kits. He's going to take all these components and lay them onto the pallet so that once they come all the way over here, you know, everything's going to be, once we get to this section, everything will be on the pallet. So that's it.